My peoples. William Zepeda, Shakur Stevenson. They're going to be fighting in July. And this is a fight that we've been waiting for. Can William Zepeda win that fight? Let's talk about it, my peoples. Y'all already know what it is. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Let's talk about it. William Zepeda. You know, he's coming off of a win over Tevin Farmer, who's a very tough opponent. And this is a fight that has been brewing. You know, Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda have gone back and forth on social media. And it seemed like that fight was going to happen at some point, and then like it wasn't going to happen. And now that's it. It's a done deal. They're fighting next. How do I see this fight playing out? We'll get to that. But I want to see what you guys think about it. You know, do you think Shakur Stevenson is in danger of losing to William Zepeda? Or is he simply going to make it look easy? He tends to do that sometimes. Often, actually. And even though Shakur gets a lot of slack for some of his performances where, you know, there wasn't so much offensive output, but it's mostly hate. If you think about it, people will tend to focus on one or two fights. And that's not, you know, representative of a guy's entire career. Now, anytime somebody want to hate on Shakur, they bring up the De Los Santos fight. But come on, yo, he only fought De Los Santos one time. That's not his entire career. Leo, my family is here. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. So, what do you think, my brother? Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda. Does Zepeda have a chance to actually beat Shakur? Or is Shakur going to make it look easy? I have people telling me that it's going to be like Shakur Valdez all over again, where, you know, Valdez was this undefeated fighter, champion, warrior, but Shakur just made it look easy against him. Shakur just, he is a special fighter. No matter how much people want to hate on him, or they don't like his style, or they want to, you know, say negative things about Shakur, he's that guy for real. Liam, I got Shakur winning. I don't care about this, right? That much, to be honest. Look, Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda, that's not like the biggest fight in boxing. Not the fight that we've been calling for. But you got to understand, my brother, whether we admit it or not, Shakur Stevenson is the boogeyman. Because all of the big names are ducking him. They don't want to fight him. We want to see Shakur Stevenson fight Tank Davis. Tank don't want to make that fight. We want to see Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. Devin don't want to make that fight. Rollies don't want to fight Shakur. Ryan don't want it. So it's like Shakur is fighting whoever's willing to get in the ring with him. JJ's in the house. Hello, Jay Smith. I'm here. Let's go. Hit the like button, everyone. What's the deal? JJ's in the house. Appreciate you dropping in, my brother. John Parham in the building. Salute, my guy. G Life. Sending love from Italy. Appreciate you, my brother. Salute to all my peoples from Italy that's been showing me love, man. I really appreciate that. Let's get them likes up, my peoples. That's what's up, John Parham. Victor J. Shakur had a few bad performances versus Santos and Nakatila. That's two fights, but you got to think about it. That's how you know how great a fighter is when we're saying that they have bad performances versus people that they beat. They're like, he had a bad performance and he won. Victor J. Shakur be putting out those stinkers. They used to say the same thing about Floyd Mayweather, man. And look now, the greatest of all time. G Life, Shakur is winning, but it's not that good of a fight in my opinion. But everyone and what he likes. I mean, it's like I said, Shakur wants to fight all of the big names, but if they don't want to step in the ring with him, it's not a whole lot he can do. G Life, Shakur Valdez 2.0. Had a lot of people say that already. Go and make it look easy. Look, I want to see Shakur get in there with the big names. But if they don't want to fight him, what exactly can he do? He can only fight the people who are willing to step in the ring with him. That's all there's to it, my peoples. By the way, Eddie Hearn says that he sent Brian Norman Jr. another offer, to fight Jerome Boots Hennis. Shaggy, happy Monday, my G. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. Kanice Khan, hello everyone. What's up, Kanice? Victor J. Shakur should have been on board with that one fight deal with Tank. Shakur wanted a multi-deal. That's fake news, my brother. He wanted a multi-fight deal, but Tank was never in the conversation. They never offered him a fight with Tank. That's a fake narrative made up by Tankomaniac and Shakur Stevenson haters. He was never offered a fight with Tank. He was talking with PBC. He told him he wanted a multi-fight deal. They never offered him a fight with Tank. That's fake news. Kaniz, I'm a boxing fan, but boxing is not popular in here in India. No. There's some countries that put more emphasis on boxing and promoting it. And India, I think in India, you guys are mostly enjoy soccer and cricket. I know cricket is real big over there. JJ's in the house. That's why they call Shakur the boogeyman. I'm trying to tell you, my brother. He is the boogeyman. He can't fight the guys that don't want to fight him. Nothing he could do about it. So, we have to take into consideration that even Crawford, when he was at the welterweight division, what happened with Crawford? He couldn't get a fight because nobody wanted to fight him. Now that he's the big dog, now that he's that dude, now everybody want to fight him. Everybody want that check. Kanish, Shakur's winning, and this is my prediction. It's a boring fight anyway, sir. We want a big fight. I mean, tell Tank Davis to step in the ring with Shakur and stop ducking him. Superman, salute my brother. Appreciate you dropping in. John Parham, salute again, Superman. Shaggy, Shakur uses mandatory and Haney ducked him big time. What does he have to do to start a tournament in the division? I mean, and the funny thing about that is that Devin Haney ducked Shakur, but he did it in a way that he had people thinking Shakur's the one that ducked. Because he made a low ball offer, Shakur declined it, and Devin Haney ran from the division. So right away he can say, well, I sent him an offer. I made an offer. That's up to him. And Shakur haters ran with it. But everybody who really know what happened understands that Devin ducked, for sure. Liam, Tank should stop ducking. Let us watch and get some entertainment. Yo, come on now, man. Give us this fight already. Liam, 11 likes real quick. Let's go. Appreciate it, my brother. So my people, like I said earlier, Eddie Hearn supposedly sent an offer to Brian Norman Jr. so he could fight Boots. Now, I don't know what's going on with that. Haven't done my research. I just watched a few videos of people talking about it. And what I see is that the narrative is like Brian Norman Jr. is ducking. Like he don't want to fight this year or something like that. But I gotta wait and see. I gotta wait and see what the key players are saying about this. You know, Jerome Boots Ennis versus Brian Norman Jr. To me, that's the best fight at the welterweight division. However, I think that Boots is also gonna have some other great options because Boots versus Teofimo, that's a big fight. Boots versus Devin Haney, or versus Blair the Flair. Even Boots versus Rollies. Boots needs to get some big names in his resume. And I think that he's right there. Like, this is the year where somebody finally gets in the ring with Boots. And he gets one of those big wins under his belt. But I see, to make that comparison, different style of fighters, obviously one is a boxer, one is a puncher. But if you see Boots and Teofimo, if you see Boots and Shakur, they're in a similar situation. There's a lot of people that don't want to fight them. That's what happens when you're at that level, at the highest level. When you're the best amongst the best, people don't want to fight you. They don't want to take that out. Liam, Ryan versus Boots was going to be crazy, but Ryan pulled an upset. Ryan got upset. Rollies made them fumble the bag. Now, remember, the sanctioning body said that if Ryan was to win, they were going to mandate it so that him and Boots fight, Boots defend the title against him. Does that mean that now Rollies is going to be mandated to fight Boots? Let's see. Let's see. Canis, I agree with that, Liam. Ryan versus Boots is so much better than Teo versus Boots. I like both of those fights. I like Ryan versus Boots. I like Teofimo versus Boots. I think both of those are good fights. JJ's in the house. Boots is going to fight the highest bidder. Victor J. Yeah, they don't want to put that track shoes on and run around the ring. That's a tough style. We saw Canelo Skull. Yeah, Canelo versus Skull, that was a snooze fest. But Skull wasn't there to win the fight, To me, I felt like Skull was there to survive. To go the distance, get a moral victory and be able to say, oh yeah, I went the distance. And Canelo didn't knock me out. To me, that's really what he was trying to get out of that. And that paycheck, of course. John Parent, Ryan let me down. I got to see him bounce back. Something serious. Let's see. Let's see what fight Ryan Garcia is going to get after this one. Victor J. Shakur is basically Skull with weaker hands. I don't know how you could come up with that. Shakur's a 3-division champion, a unified champion. So, I don't know. I don't know how you come up with that, my brother. Shakur is one of the most accomplished young fighters of this era. Skull, most of us never even heard of him. What has Skull done? Canis, Rolly Romero was mocking Ben on interviews. That's a good fight. I like that fight. Conor Ben versus Rolly Romero. I like that fight. And there's a lot of options for Conor Ben as well, because you remember he was going back and forth with Ryan Garcia. That's a fight that they could make easily. So Conor Ben and Ryan Garcia is also a good fight. Conor Ben with Jerome Boots Ennis, it's a good fight as well. So there's some real good fights for Conor Ben. Know your audience. Hey, young man, what's up? Superman, these fake fans are trolls. Yeah, sometimes that's how it be, my brother. That's real talk. Canis, it's a blessing for me. I watch boxing for the love of the sport, and I don't bet. Same here, my brother. Sometimes I place a little bet here and there, but I watch it for the love of the sport. That's why I created this channel, Box Center, because I love the sport of boxing. Superman G. Kur is definitely lighting it up. He's a good boxer. He is, man. He is. He is. Shakur Stevenson It's one of the best of this era. Know your audience. Good. And about you, yeah, we doing good. We talking boxing. We talking this boxing stuff. You know your audience. You know about I'm that bitch. I don't. I do not. Now, see, we talking about Conor Ben. It looks like he will be doing that rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. That rematch look like it's about to happen, and let's see. Let's see how it plays out. First fight was real good. Obviously, Chris Eubank Jr. won, but maybe Conor Ben can make some adjustments and win in the rematch. Liam, Rolly versus Ben. That's a good fight for real. I got Ben winning that though. I mean, I think I got Conor Ben winning that fight too. But yo, you seen Rolly's looking real sharp in his last outing, so we gotta see. We gotta see how that plays out. Superman, that was a huge fight, a mega fight, my brother. Know your audience. Anga Bitch is the Indian UFC lightweight fighter. Okay, my brother. So know your audience. What happened is that we mostly focus on boxing. I don't follow, UFC that much. I know a little bit about it, but this is about boxing, my brother. Liam, hell no. Chris want Canelo. Yeah, but right now Canelo's focused on Terrence Crawford. That's his focus right now. Now I tell you what, I would like to see Chris Eubank Jr. versus Canelo Alvarez. Don't get it twisted. I just don't think, he's in Canelo's radar right now. Know your audience. No worries, my brother. No biggie. So I don't think right now Canelo Alvarez is thinking about Chris Eubank Jr. He's focused on Terrence Crawford, and let's see what goes on after that. And I told y'all, man, the fight that I want to see the most, besides Bud and Canelo, is Tank and Shakur. But Tank keeps ducking. Tank doesn't want that action, my peoples. And now Tank is saying that, well, Eddie Hearn said that Tank Davis is going to fight Jake Paul in November. What a disappointment. Tank and Jake are ruining the sport of boxing. Liam, Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing right now. It's a lifetime moment to fight Canelo. That's a fact, my brother. Canelo, there's a reason why he's, unanimously recognized as the face of boxing. Liam, we ain't talking about Bivol no more. I mean, Bivol's going to have that third fight with Better BF. I don't think they have a date yet. I personally wanted to see Bivol versus David Benavidez. I thought that was the fight to make, but they decided to go with a trilogy, which I don't think we needed 36 rounds of Bivol versus Better BF. We got 24 rounds back to back. We know how this fight is going to play. It's going to be very competitive, very close fight. They'll go to the distance. John Parham, Tank better fight Shakur afterwards if he beats Roach. That's the fight, man. That's the fight to make. That's the fight to make right there. Superman, Jake making bread and beef with turkey. Man, listen, I can't believe that Jake Paul might actually end up in the ring with Tank Davis. But I don't think Eddie Hearn is going to make that up out of thin air. John Parham, Tank and Jake sadly will bring in a bag. I'm guessing you mean a bag. Yeah, they're gonna make that money. They're gonna make a lot of money. People are gonna tune in. People are gonna buy that fight. I just wish, man, that it wasn't the case in boxing. I don't like the fact that, what Jake Paul is proving, that you don't need to earn your shot versus boxing biggest stars. If you're popular enough, you could get a fight with them. I don't like that message. I don't like it at all. Liam, how much money has the rematch between Bivol and Beterbiev? I don't know. Money wise, I haven't seen anything that they posted. But I'm pretty sure, if Bivol is turning down the fight with Benavidez, dropping a title to do the trilogy, I'm pretty sure His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh is gonna pay them real good. I know they're both gonna make a lot of money. John Parham, will it be the biggest bag ever? I mean, for Canelo and Crawford, it's not gonna be the biggest bag. I don't think anybody right now is gonna make the biggest bag ever. I don't think anybody's gonna surpass Floyd Mayweather, but they're getting some pretty big paydays, especially Canelo and Crawford when they fight each other. Canelo has already, been rumored to be making over $100 million, which I believe that 100%. I remember he had supposedly asked for $150 million to fight Crawford. So he's gonna make north of $100 million. Liam, Jake Paul is richer, popular, smart, with money, and everyone better than most pro boxers. And it's sad, bro. So the thing about Jake Paul, he was very smart because before he ever touched boxing, before he attempted it, he had already grown, a huge audience in YouTube. And he has a huge following. So most boxing fans are not going to pay to watch Jake Paul fight. But he has a large following that will. And that's why he's making money like that in boxing. He brought his own fan base. JJ said that, same here for being an old school boxing fan. I'm telling you. Most boxing fans, especially old school boxing fans, don't give a damn about Jake Paul. But he got his own fans. MAW, hello boxing fans, Jay and Chad. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button, folks. Appreciate you, MAW. John Parham, I think he will get 125, 130 mil to fight Crawford. Look at that. It's a very, very small list of boxers who have made over $100 million for a fight. That list is very, very small. Liam, Canelo making 150 mils guaranteed to fight Bivol without counting the bonus for the win. I mean, we don't know what, if that rematch is even going to happen, because Bivol is going to fight a rematch with Beterbiev. And if Bivol loses to Beterbiev, I don't know if Canelo's going to want to fight the rematch. So we kind of got to see how that plays out. Okay. $150 million. That's what was reported. Remember, when a number's reported, they're not necessarily going to make that amount. Sometimes they make a little bit less. Sometimes they make a little bit more. Sometimes it's a big difference. And, he could end up making 110 million, let's say, 120. But it's still over $100 million. Liam, it's not a leak or anything. It's already official. It's not official yet, my brother, because they haven't signed contracts. Remember, as of right now, it's pretty much a verbal agreement. Until they don't sign those contracts, it's not official. MAW, accomplishments matter most, but popularity sells. That's just how it's, sadly. But all we can do is support our sport and the fighters we like. That's why all fans matter, in my humble opinion. That's real talk. That's real talk. I think part of the reason why Jake Paul was able to carve a lane for himself in boxing is because a lot of fighters are simply not fighting each other. We're not getting, a lot of the fights that we won, we're not getting them. So, Jake Paul found a window to say, hey, fans, they're not getting these fights, but I could give them those fights. And that's it. He brought in the circus show. MAW, I agree. I think accomplishments should be at the top of the list, but we already know it's a business. Fighters want to make their money. Managers, promotional companies, everybody trying to get paid. So at the end of the day, if it makes money, it makes sense. Liam, why pro boxers don't promote themselves like Jake Paul then? If Jake Paul is selling fights with that strategy, you got to understand, my brother, most pro boxers don't have the type of platform that Jake Paul has. So they can't promote themselves like Jake. You got to remember, Jake Paul, how many, look, because he got Twitter, he got Facebook, he got Instagram. Let me just see on Instagram, right? How many followers does Jake Paul have on Instagram? 28 million. 28 million followers. So that's the big difference, my brother. You can't, if you're a pro boxer, especially somebody who's not really famous like that, you got a couple thousand followers, you're not going to promote the same way that a guy who's promoting to 20 million people. Not to mention the following that Jake Paul has on YouTube. So the difference between Jake Paul and most professional boxers is that Jake Paul blew up his platform before he was a boxer. So he already got his own people that's coming to follow him into boxing. Most boxers don't have a platform like that, so they can't promote themselves like he does. Arch30, what's the deal, my brother? Kanice, can Jake Paul be listed as a pro boxer? No, he is listed as a pro boxer. He is. We can debate about how good he is or isn't, but he is a pro boxer. He's fighting professionally. Kanice, Jake Paul has fight only one pro boxer in his boxing career and lost. That's right. Lost to Tommy Fury. But you got to understand, he's fighting professionally. So once you're fighting professionally, you're a pro boxer. Like you yourself, if you and your next door neighbor get a boxing license and y'all box each other, that's it. Y'all boxing professionally. Now we could discuss, your skills and your neighbor's skills. We're gonna say you guys can't fight for shit, but you're still professional boxers. So right now, Jake Paul is without a doubt a professional boxer. MAW, I'm definitely not a huge Jake Paul fan, but gotta respect what he's doing for the female fighters. He's helping females get that maximum money. I agree, my brother. That's one thing. Jake Paul has made himself a major player in women's boxing. And he's very smart. You know why? Because obviously, men don't want to deal with him. They like, this guy, he can't even box like that. He ain't nobody. Men ain't giving him the time of day. But women who are in need of that attention, of that spotlight, they messing with him. So through the women, Jake Paul is able to legitimize himself in boxing. Because his boxing career is not going nowhere. He'll never be a world champion. He'll never be a top level fighter. He'll never do any of that. As a boxer, it's like, it's this interest in who he's going to fight next. And the argument about he's fighting non-boxers, he's fighting old people, he's fighting, he's getting that attention. So him as a boxer, he's getting attention. But with the female boxers, he's becoming legitimate in the sport of boxing. Raw Dog, I watch Jake fights. I'm telling you, most of us watch him. Now, I tell you what, if Jake Paul was to say today, I will never box a day in my life again, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even notice. Like, oh, okay, he not fighting again. I wouldn't even notice that shit. Liam, Jake fights are entertaining. You can't deny that. And the press conferences as well. Jake ain't getting a title shot. Never. I mean, I think because of his popularity, he may actually get a title shot. I don't know. Can he win a title? I don't see it. I don't see him as having the talent to beat anybody at that level, unless there's like a vacant title and they match him up against a lower level fighter so he could win. If he gets some help, I think he could win the title, but going up against a reigning champion, now he getting his ass whooped. Raw dog, he's supposed to be targeting Zurdo. Listen, man, Zurdo will beat the shit out of him. Cause look, Jake Paul talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. You imagine that shit? Anthony Joshua will absolutely pummel Jake Paul. He will pummel him. G Life. It made me sad, man. I wish pro boxers could make a bag like those YouTube boxing kids, but it's okay. I mean, I wish it was like that too, bro. It's not. It's really not fair that you could be a non-boxer and grow your popularity in different platforms, and then you can go to pro boxing and get shots with fighters that guys could never get those opportunities, and yet you could get them. You know how many guys want to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua, and they'll never get that payday, they'll never get that opportunity, and Jake Paul's just gonna come out of nowhere and fight him? That's crazy work. The same thing with Tank Davis. How many actual boxers want to fight Tank Davis? We're talking about Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson want that smoke with Tank Davis. And you gonna fight Jake Paul? Come on, man. Come on, my peoples. That to me, that's like ruining the sport of boxing. G Life. What fight for Jake Paul should fight to prove himself that he got it? I mean, he got it. He learned how to box. Jake Paul can box, but he don't have the talent. He's not an elite level boxer. So he's not going to beat the guys that are at the top. As simple as that. In no division that he fights, he'll be able to compete with the elites of that division. Chinese, giving your whole life to boxing and still ain't making a bag like a YouTube started boxing a year ago. That's crazy. But it's about popularity. That's what we're seeing. If you're popular enough, you could get the biggest fights. You don't have to earn it. Popularity will be enough. MAW. Money matters, understandably, because fighters ain't out here fighting for free. But that's not the reason I watch boxing. It's to find out who is the best of the best that we should focus on, in my humble opinion. And I agree with that. That's what boxing should be about. We're not managers. We're not promoters. We shouldn't, be debating about who makes more money, who's selling more pay-per-views, who's putting butts in seats. That's not even a topic of conversation that fans should be arguing about. Liam, Jake Paul versus Deontay Wilder, if it happens and it's real, then he's a warrior and got it. Man, I don't like Jake Paul versus Deontay Wilder. Like, Deontay Wilder has never even been known to be a good boxer. He's known as a guy that hits hard. That's it. That's really what Deontay Wilder's claim to fame is. He hits hard. I want to see Jake Paul fight somebody who can box. Fight somebody who can box. Finally. Matter of fact, you know who I want to see Jake Paul? I want to see Jake Paul fighting a guy in his division, around his weight class, and most importantly, a guy with a similar record to his. Fight a guy who's 10-0, 11-0. Fight a guy like that. Because that's Jake's Paul thing that he's been saying. Look, all the people I fought, and I'm new. I haven't even been boxing that long, like that narrative. Okay, then. Fight somebody your age, in your weight class, with similar experience to you. Fight somebody who's 10-0, 11-0. That's what I want to see. I'm tired of seeing Jake Paul cherry pick guys who have a name, but they're washed up, they're old, they're retired, They, never boxed a day in their life. They participate in different sports. I don't want to see that anymore. I'm tired of it already, my people. I want to see Jake Paul fight an actual boxer. You see, Tommy Fury was a good boxer for Jake, and he got his ass kicked. But at least that's a boxer that he fought around his age, around his weight. That's what I want to see him fight. Fight the guys who are around your weight, your age, and your experience. That's it. That's what I want to see. And by the way, my peoples, what's next for Devin Haney? We already saw him win recently. And I know that he got a lot of slack for the way that he won. Mad footwork, very little action. But he won. And he made it look easy. Made it look easy. What more can you ask for? Devin Haney walked out of that fight, didn't have a huge black eye, didn't have his face all swelled up. Walked out of there with an easy W. So, yeah, sometimes fans are not going to be happy about the way a fight plays out. But at the end of the day, boxing is about wins and losses. Devin Haney won. Walked out of there with the W. Raw Dog, Haney got a new grill. Liam, Jake versus Nate Diaz was a good fight. Yeah, but still, man, imagine Nate Diaz old as hell, washed up. I don't want to see Jake fighting no more with people who are done, people who are cooked. I don't want to see that no more. Liam, Devin Haney versus Ben is happening, bro. His dad makes a verbal deal with Ben dad and Eddie and Ben himself. We got to see it. I'm telling you, Liam, verbal agreements in boxing don't mean shit. I've already seen so many verbal agreements fall apart a week later, a month later, down the line. Something happened. They wanted this or they wanted that. We couldn't give them this and we couldn't do that. So a verbal agreement is kind of like, okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Let's do the fight. But then when they start asking how much money and they start getting into the details, where we're going to fight and all this other stuff, they can fall through easily. So it's not a done deal until they sign contracts, my brother. I promise you. Liam, Devin versus Ben, any good? I mean, I like that fight. Devin Haney versus Conor Ben, I like that fight. And either one of those two, I also like them versus Boots. There's a lot of options. In and around the welterweight division, because you got Conor Ben, you got Devin Haney, you got Ryan Garcia, Blair the Flair Cobb, Teofimo Lopez, Rollies. There's a lot of options at the welterweight division. A lot of guys that we want to see fight each other. A lot of fights that need to happen. But ultimately, the biggest fight in boxing right now is Terrence Bud Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. And the next biggest fight is Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. I already told you. Shakur's going to whoop that ass. But we got to force Tank Davis to step in the ring with Shakur, because he's just not trying to do that. Liam, Tank versus Shakur is going to be so much entertainment, bro. It ain't going to bring a lot of love to boxing for us fans. Listen, man, Tank versus Shakur is a fight that we needed. Is it going to happen? Shit, man, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm worried that it may not happen just because Tank Davis doesn't look like he want to make that fight. And look, he's already talking about retirement. Now we know that he's going to fight Lamar Roach and apparently Jake Paul at the end of the year. So it's like every year, listen, for the last few years, every year I say, you know what? This is the year that we might get Shakur versus Tank. This is it right here. And every year I'm disappointed. It looks like this not going to be the year either. If he's going to fight Lamar Roach, and at the end of the year, Jake Paul, that's it. We're not gonna get Tank versus Shakur this year. Crazy. Raw dog. Devin fights are not my idea of entertaining boxing. I'm 48 years old, been watching like a religion since I was a kid. So, look, Devin Haney, he obviously didn't have an entertaining fight versus Jose Ramirez. I think that the strategy was to not take a lot of punishment, not take big punches. You know, he took a nasty beating from Ryan Garcia, so I think they just trying to preserve him. And that's the way that it played out. And I think we're gonna see more Devin Haney fights play out like that one. Liam, if Crawford versus Canelo happened, so there's a good percentage of Shakur versus Tank happening. I think that's very different, and I say that because in this case, Terrence Crawford is moving up to Canelo Alvarez's division to fight him, right? And Canelo Alvarez is going to accept the challenge. Well, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson been in and around the same weight class for years at this point. So there's the difference that I'm trying to point out, where Crawford hasn't been trying to get Canelo for years and years. Crawford mentioned Canelo for the first time after he beat Errol Spence and moved up to 154. That's when the Canelo fight, came into focus. And Canelo, look, it's already going to happen. With Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, Shakur's been calling out Tank for 2-3 years at this point. And Tank Davis has been crickets. So that's why I see it different. I don't think Tank Davis wants to fight Shakur. Or at least that's the way that he's been acting. John Parham, y'all hit that like button if you forgot. Hell yeah, my brother. Appreciate it. Liam, since when the talk about Crawford versus Canelo been? I mean, Canelo versus Crawford really started to get serious after Crawford beat Madrimov. And he started expressing interest in wanting to fight Canelo. And then His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh expressed that he was back in that fight. So it's just been a few months since that fight started becoming a reality. MAW, popularity matters with selling, but the popularity is dependent on two things: the fighter's personality and the fighter's style. Boxing from outside or running is the least popular style. I mean, I think it depends. And the reason I say it depends is because look who the greatest fighter of all time and the most paid fighter of all time is. Floyd Mayweather. And I remind you, my brother, that Floyd Mayweather, people used to say that he was a runner. People used to say that he was boring. People used to say that they fall asleep in his fights. And look, he ended his career as arguably the greatest fighter of all time. So you know what also brings popularity? When you start building this aura that nobody can beat you, regardless of the style. You know why? Because yes, people don't like the running or the moving or the, whatever they're going to call it. But once a fighter's undefeated and beating everybody, they start watching them. Number one, people start becoming fans of that fighter. And number two, they start becoming haters of that fighter where they're watching them hoping that they lose. A lot of people watch Floyd Mayweather just hoping that they could get the opportunity to watch him get beat. And Shakur Stevenson is going to be on that same boat. People are going to watch just hoping that he loses. Liam, and Shakur versus Tank, how long to talk about that fight been? Listen, Shakur been calling Tank out for like at least 2-3 years at this point. But it's like I said, man, Tank Davis has never expressed any interest in wanting to fight Shakur. Daisy Sanchez, but Mayweather happened to fight the fighters with huge fan base support. That's a fact. But we have to take into consideration who can Shakur fight right now who has that type of fan base, that type of support. Well, none of these guys want to fight him. That's the thing about Floyd Mayweather. People wanted to fight him. Floyd was able to fight everybody and anybody that he wanted to fight. He was able to fight whoever he wanted to fight. Shakur don't have that possibility right now. Even Jerome Bruce Ennis, who is now going to be able to get some of those fights now that his popularity has gone up. Liam, Floyd fought a lot of nobodies, bro. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, a lot of nobodies. Like, maybe in the beginning of his career, just like everybody does. But if you look at the second half of his career, my brother, the second half of Floyd Mayweather's career, that's mostly champions. There's Hall of Famers in there, pound for pound fighters. So I don't know. That's not a good description of who Floyd fought. A lot of nobodies. John Parham, sadly, he will still be the GOAT. MAW. Most of those people are haters, though, Jay. And Floyd May Jr. wasn't running the way Devin or Skull was. Floyd would stand, shoulder roll, and counter a lot too. He was the best at it, in my humble opinion. So I think Floyd was very good with situational boxing, where he knew when to use his footwork, when to move around, and when to stand his ground. So he was able to balance that as opposed to just movement. But still, there was that narrative of people saying, yo, I don't like watching Floyd. He's too boring to me. I fall asleep watching his fights. Liam, Floyd fights all was a plan for money, but he's the top 5 greatest boxer of all time. MAW, 100%. I mean, there's a good argument to make that Floyd is the number 1 fighter of all time. But I think Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Manny Pacquiao is a fighter who we can also argue for the top of the list. So there's a few fighters on there. Floyd Mayweather is always going to be in that conversation. Liam, I'm going to see y'all later, family, next stream. Peace up, bless up. Peace out, Liam. Have a good one. Underrated Will. Pac-Man Manny, most entertaining fighter ever. I mean, I would say Manny Pacquiao is one of the most entertaining fighters ever, but there's a lot of fighters, who are very, very entertaining to watch. Pacquiao definitely happens to be one of them. I will say, Manny Pacquiao was a fighter who moved up all of those divisions and fought so many great fighters. Fought a lot of guys who had their time in boxing when they were running boxing, and he stepped in the ring with them. Shaggy, Johnny Tapia was cool. Ooh, la vida loca. Johnny Tapia was a real one. Johnny Tapia was a great fighter to watch. Combination puncher, pressure fighter, let them hands fly. Exciting to watch. Every time he stepped in the ring, you knew you was going to get fireworks. I love watching Johnny Tapia. I will say, Johnny Tapia was a fighter who, I can't remember who was the first guy to beat him, but I watched that fight, and he fought till the last minute. I just can't remember who it was. If y'all can see it on BoxRec. G Life, favorite Italian boxer. Honestly, I have to think about that. I could say Rocky Marciano, but honestly, I've never seen Rocky Marciano. There's a little bit of grainy footage out there that you could see, but you can't really appreciate how good he actually was. But honestly, I have to think about it. Italian boxer. Rocky Balboa? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, my people. Love more Hinduism. Arturo Gatti. But Arturo Gatti was American. But Italian descendants, I guess. Arturo Gatti, man, damn. Rest in peace to Arturo Gatti. His death was suspicious, by the way. The way he died, I always felt like something went down with Arturo Gatti. Because, he went to Brazil and supposedly took his own life over there. I don't know. That just didn't sit well with me. Something was up, with that situation. Um, G Life. I wish if boxing was like back in the day. People fight for the love of boxing and not money business. Look, one thing that I've said before, the business of boxing has ruined the sport of boxing. Because based off of the business, there's a lot of fights that we don't get. You know, if this fighter is signed with this promotional company and that one is signed with a different promotional company, you know, whatever network, you fight on this network, he fight on that one. There's a lot of little things that make it impossible for some of the biggest fights to actually happen. Just business. What's the topic? Back up in here again. What's the deal, my brother? So, number one, we're talking about Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda. That fight is gonna happen. Can William Zepeda beat Shakur Stevenson? Is it possible? Iris, what's the deal? Hash bass. That's not true. It's just a lot more money in boxing. Can William Zepeda beat Shakur Stevenson? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. That's that's my perception. MAW, most boxing fans are actually fight fans that want to see exchanges. They're the ones that frown on boxing from outside or running. I mean, you have to understand that there's a certain level of popularity when guys have a style where they're gonna stand there and trade with each other. You know, especially if it's gonna be rock 'em sock 'em robots. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of factors that bring popularity, not just standing in there and trading with each other. You know, there's the personality of a fighter, the type of person he is, how he acts, how he behaves, how he interacts with fans, with other people in the sport of boxing. That's part also of the star power that you can see in guys. It's not just because think about this for a second. Look at somebody like Arthur Beterbiev. Look how exciting he is when he's in the ring. Look at Pitbull Cruz, how exciting he is in the ring. But nobody's gonna say that they're the faces of boxing. They're popular fighters. But it takes a little bit more than that for you to get to that level of popularity. It's not just what you're doing in the ring, it's an overall package. Kaniz, I've tried to see if there is an Indian boxing champion, but I found nobody. Do you know? Honestly, I think I've seen an Indian boxing. Isn't Ramla Ali Indian? I think Ramla Ali is Indian, and she's a world champion, but I'm not sure if she's Indian. Canelo is the face of boxing right now. That's a fact. That's a fact. Canelo, I tell you what though, Canelo is the face of boxing, but his time as the face of boxing is almost up. He's not going to be the face of boxing for much longer. LB Marshall, shout out to the future #1 channel boxer. A salute. Salute, my brother. Nobody can beat Shakur right now. Ask Tank Davis. That's real talk. Nobody's beating Shakur right now. That's the reason why Tank Davis don't want to fight him. That's the whole reason why Tank Davis and his team, and even Tank Davis fans, are scared of him fighting Shakur. That's the reason why. Hash Bass, biggest fighters in history are boxers who box. Kaniz Khan, nah, Canelo is still in his prime. Yeah, Kaniz, but you got to think about this, my brother. Canelo's 34 years. When you're 34 years old, you're at the tail end of your prime. So those prime years, they're not going to last a lot longer, my guy. Canelo's good. Great boxer at 34. Like I said, man, 34. That's it. You're in your mid-30s. Trust me. Those prime years are going to start winding down. Daisy Sanchez, of course not, because he don't fight. MAW. That's the #1, Jay. Most like Rock'em Sock'em robots. When I say most, I'm talking about the casual which actually make up a huge part of the boxing fans. I like the different styles, different flavors. I agree with you 100%, my brother. That, guys standing in front of each other and just trading punches, that's going to be the most entertaining style to watch. Copacabana, come to Greece. Come to Greece, motherfucker. My brother, what's the deal? You never know, man. One day I might have the opportunity to pull up in Greece. I want to visit over there, by the way. Y'all got some nice beaches. Daisy Sanchez, who do you think has potential to take over Canelo's place? As the next face of boxing, I think Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur Stevenson has the potential to be the next face of boxing. Gio the God, Canelo Prime was against Plant and Saunders. Hasn't looked the same since. Kaniz Khan, Copa, please, no spamming. No spamming. Hash Bass. Is Samir Khan Indian descent? Junior, Shakur just like Floyd, but southpaw. Nobody beats him. Too young and fast. I'm telling you, my brother, I've been saying it about Shakur Stevenson. If there's so many things that could be compared as far as Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Mayweather. A lot of things. Floyd Mayweather was the best, had the best defense of his era. Shakur Stevenson got the best defense of his era. Floyd Mayweather was the hardest fighter to get hit. Right now, Shakur is the guy that's the hardest to get hit. Floyd took the least punishment. Shakur's the guy taking the least punishment now. Shakur's that guy. There's a lot of things that people could compare between Shakur and Floyd. Kaniz, Shakur new face of boxing. He has no big fights. Junior, I have never seen him hit. Brian Romero, I think Keyshawn and Boots have the potential to be the next face of boxing. And let's not forget the Mexican monster Benavidez. Junior, or even lose a round. I'm trying to tell you. You see, here's why I see Shakur as the next face of boxing. I'm going to be 47 years old, right? So I got to watch Floyd Mayweather's entire career. If you're in your mid-40s like myself, then you got to watch Floyd Mayweather's entire career, right? And I still remember how people used to always say that they didn't like watching Floyd, that he didn't have no power, that he was boring to watch. He runs too much. He be pity-patting and not really trying to hurt his opponents. I heard it all about Floyd Mayweather. And now as I see Shakur's career from the beginning, I see a lot of the same things that they said about Floyd, they now say it about Shakur. The same way that Floyd Mayweather has so many haters, I see Shakur Stevenson now has that too. So I see a parallel in the way that Floyd Mayweather's career played out to how Shakur. Y'all gotta remember, my people, Shakur's only 27 years old, bro. Shakur's only 27 years old. And at his age, he already has titles in 3 divisions. He's a unified champion at 27 years old. He's a young buck. He's in his mid-20s, my people. So we forget about that. Oh, Shakur. This guy is young. Look at Floyd Mayweather. People don't think. We just remember that he's the greatest and remember that he retired undefeated. But really think about Floyd's career. Floyd's star power exploded when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. Once he fought Oscar De La Hoya, that's when he became Money Mayweather and started making the big millions and everything started. And how old was Floyd Mayweather when he fought Oscar De La Hoya? Look, I'm going to even look it up right here. I don't even have to ask it. I'm going to look it up. But that's the magic question, my people. How old was Floyd when he faced Oscar? Because I'm going to show you something, my people. I'm going to show you something so y'all can see the point that I'm trying to make. Listen to this, my people. Nah, y'all wrong. Y'all wrong. Love more Hinduism. You're wrong. He was 30. I'm looking at it right now. He was 30 years old in 2 months. So y'all think about this, my peoples. And this is for you, hash bass. You like to hate so much on Shakur. Shakur's 27 years old right now, right? When Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar De La Hoya and became Money Mayweather, when he really blew up, he was 30 years old. He was 30. And Shakur's only 27 years old right now. So what y'all gotta understand, when Floyd Mayweather was 27 years old, he wasn't the face of boxing. When Floyd Mayweather was 27 years old, he wasn't the guy making the most money in boxing. When Floyd Mayweather was 27 years old, he wasn't fighting on pay-per-view. He wasn't a pay-per-view star. So for those who say, look, Shakur's not big, he's not that big, he's only 27 years old, my people. Floyd Mayweather wasn't that big either when he was 27 years old. Floyd Mayweather became the big dog at 30. At 30 years old. So give Shakur 3 more years before he can get that big fight, before he can get up in pay-per-view. Come on now. MAW, I just turned 47, bro. See, we the same age. I'm going to turn 47 on June 21st. JJ's in the house. Benavides is the Mexican and Ecuadorian. Facts. Benavides the Mexican monster, be real talk. MAW, some been saying Turkey paying too much. Turkey paying too much. Some fighting soft because already got that bag. Some been saying Turkey should put in clause where fighters earn so much but get more if are entertaining. Thoughts? Nah, you can't really put a clause on the entertainment value. Because at the end of the day, you don't want a fighter to lose because he was trying to entertain. I want you guys to fight your best with whatever your style is. And if it's entertaining, great. If it's not, great. But I don't want you to lose because you were trying to entertain the crowd. Hash bash, Floyd put in work and was stopping fighters because Floyd puts true hands on fighters. Floyd has a low knockout percentage. What the hell are you talking about? In 25 wins, in 50 wins, Floyd stopped 25 opponents. And most of those 25 opponents were in the early half of his career when he was fighting tomato cans. When he was fighting gym teachers, pizza delivery guys, janitors. Those were the guys that he mostly knocked out. What the hell are you talking about? Well, what are you talking about? Floyd was never a knockout artist. And he wasn't a big star at 27 years old. He wasn't a pay-per-view star at 27 years old. So hash bash, you be hating on Shakur, pay-per-view and all that shit. Floyd was none of that at 27 years old. So that shows you that you're a hater. Ozzy, Zepeda stopped Shakur in the second round. Put the house on it. Damn, man, you want to end up homeless, my brother. MAW, Floyd rose through rank right way, though. Floyd fought and beat many decorated champions and built his reputation over time. Yeah, I agree with you on that, my brother, but Shakur's doing his same thing. Shakur's doing the same. He's already a multi-division champion, beat multiple champions, is a reigning undefeated champion. Everything that Floyd was doing up until 27 years old, Shakur's doing right now. Hash bash, Floyd first championship fight was stopping a champion. Come on, man. That guy was washed up. Genaro Hernandez was super washed up when he was fighting Floyd Mayweather, like 40 years old or some shit like that. Stop it. That don't mean nothing. MAW, Shakur building. That's what I'm saying. At 27 years old, you look at Shakur's resume, you look at Shakur's accomplishments, he's headed right to where Floyd Mayweather's at. That's where he's headed. He's taking that same path. JJ's in there, has Jay Smith. I got a new phone. Can you put a wrench next to my name? Oh, you got it, my brother. Of course. Let's get you on there. Boom. There you go, my G. So, my peoples, I'm about to end this live. As usual, I want to give a shout out to everybody who came through, talk boxing. JJ's in there, has MAW, John Parham, Hash Bass, and everybody else who came through. I appreciate you, my peoples. We're going to be talking boxing. Y'all already know what it is. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking boxing. I uploaded some new videos, my people, so check out those new videos that I uploaded today. Or the fight with Navarrete and Charlie Suarez. Y'all know I did the commentary for that fight, right? Well, I uploaded a video today of that fight with the commentary. So y'all can see me doing the commentary and the fight at the same time. I'll put a little window so you can see me calling it and you can see the actual fight. So y'all see how I be calling it. Nobody could do it like me, my peoples. But y'all already know what it is. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center. This is your favorite boxer's favorite boxing show. Yeah, I'm going to see you tomorrow, my peoples. Y'all already know, man. Peace. Bam. I'm out of here. One love to everybody, y'all.